Hello.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? I see we're twinning. Great minds think alike.
We are twinning.
With our hair too. We look the same, Kat.
You know what? It's one of those days.
It's one of those days. It's very gloomy in Montreal, so black is the only thing I'm gonna wear today.
Surprisingly, it was very rainy here as well. And then the sun started shining uncontrollably. And I was looking out the window and I'm like, I'm in all black. This makes no sense, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with it. It's that kind of day.
If it was gloomy at 12, your black clothes are justified. Like if it's gloomy
Exactly.
when you wake up, it's justified. I'm wearing black.
Exactly. If it keeps changing the weather, I say it's justified at that point. If the weather is not controlled at one specific temperature, I'm allowed to wear whatever at that point.
Sun will set eventually and it will be dark. So it will follow
Exactly.
its
That's exactly. It's like my rule for having a drink on a Friday a little bit before 8.
My God, is that another cup of tea?
It is always.
Wait, let me guess. Chamomile.
It's not surprising they didn't have any in the office.
Oh no.
But it's okay. It's fruit tea. It still calms me.
Okay. As long as it does the job, you're fine.
Exactly. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Vacation Tracker Office Hours. I promise we talk about Vacation Tracker features during this call. It's not just me and Kushi catching up. But because we have to wait for people to join, we have quite a bit of people registered. We usually lead in by having a short conversation,
We hope you
and
found the museum amusing, but
each time,
if you are
each
wearing
time,
black, let us know as well.
you can be matching along with us.
Yeah.
We're gonna give another minute or so, maybe even less, because I think quite a bit of people are already joined, so
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
pretty good. And then we're gonna get into the topic and everything else. But I think we're actually okay, maybe even to start. It's been already a couple of minutes, so I think we're good to go. As we always say, the call is being recorded. And you guys are going to get the copy of the recording anyways. And of course, it's posted on our office hours page, so you are able to see everything. If you want to catch up on the conversation Kushik and I had at the beginning of this, you can as well. All right. So, first things first. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much for registering for the office hours. It really means a lot to us that we have a lot of people that want to join the call. That there's a lot of interest in the office hours topic. We always say this, but it's true each time. I do want to give a little bit of an overview for anyone who's new. For a couple of things. First of all, we're using Zoho Webinar for the episode. um, you are able to ask any questions in the Q&A section. On the left hand side at the top, you should see a Q&A section and the poll section. In the Q&A section, you're able to post any questions that you may have. Feel free to post them even while I'm doing the first part, aka the presentation. And then we're going to get to, of course, those questions once I'm done the intro presentation part. There's going to be 2-3 questions, as we always have, for the polls that
Yep.
Kushi's gonna turn on, and you guys can, of course, fill out those questions. Just helps us out a little bit with future topics, and just making sure that this was a helpful episode for you in general. As for the topic today, we mentioned this, I think, even in the previous episode, that we're going to be covering automations today. So that's our focus today. We're also going to talk about a feature that has already been released and a couple of upcoming features as well, just so you guys have a little bit of a heads up. Those features all will, of course, be covered in their own episode. Really quick note as well that I just want to mention is we're also going to be introducing something called expert hours in Vacation Tracker. It's going to be only a few times a year. We're not going to be doing it quite like office hours each month or so. We're going to do a smaller number of the episodes, but they're actually going to be focusing. We're going to be focusing on topics that are more related to leave tracking as a whole concept. We're not really going to be talking too much about Vacation Tracker as much as we're going to be talking about certain questions, concerns, topics that have come up over the last few years in Vacation Tracker that I've advised on quite a bit to a lot of companies when it comes down to their leave policies, or anything basically related to specifically leave tracking and policies and so on and so forth. So you can expect an email about that in the next few days as well. So if you are interested, of course, register for that one as well. That one's actually going to be open for everyone. Office hours is specifically for vacation tracker users, but expert hours will be totally open for external visitors as well. That being said, so we talked about the Zoho webinar platform and all of that. We've covered all of that, so we can actually basically move on over to the automations. I'm going to give a kind of a quick explanation of what automations are to anyone who's been with VT for a long time. You probably noticed that especially if you're an admin role, you noticed a new section on the left-hand side menu called automations. And to clarify a little bit about why we introduced automations as a separate piece, first of all, we wanted to introduce some additional features that are not maybe used as commonly as the other ones that you have under the policy settings or the leave type settings. So we created these kind of automations, and we're going to be creating add-ons and integrations that are going to be more for additional customization for companies that require it. And so basically with these automations, we're kind of hoping that um, you're able to make certain things more efficient. For example, a couple of the automations that we've already released that some of you may have even tested or are testing, seniority based entitlement, where someone is earning time depending on how long they worked in the company. We understand how much manual work that is, so we introduced an automation that makes that automates all of that work for you and saves quite a bit of time. And so that's really where the focus is on this section. A couple of things regarding the automations, who's able to purchase the automations. That's an important piece because automations are an additional charge. So with the core or the complete plan, you can purchase an additional automation. Each automation is 50 cents per user, uh, per automation, of course. And you are able to purchase these automations additionally if you need them, but you must have an admin role to purchase. As for activating the automations, once they're purchased, it depends on the automation. We'll of course cover that quickly during this presentation. And as for the pricing, well, we talked about that again, 50 cents per automation per user. The only difference is in the pricing with the automation versus the core and the complete pricing is that the automation doesn't have a minimum. As you guys know, the core and the complete have kind of a minimum 25 seats that we give for the minimum pricing, whereas the automation actually is you're being charged per active user within the platform. Okay, and I do want to mention something because I'm about to start sharing the screen. Again, I mean, we're all seeing the same dashboard, but there are going to be changes to the UI, and this is something that I kind of want to note right away. And our product manager wanted us to mention this as well because it's coming up pretty soon. We're going to be introducing some improvements to the automation section on the left-hand side because we decided to actually introduce a few other types of improvements as well. So we will be dividing the automation section into three different categories. We're going to be renaming it. You're going to be seeing add-ons instead of automation on the left-hand side menu. And under that section, you're going to have three categories called automations, add-ons, integrations. Um, it's still all going to work in the same sense that automations currently work with the basically additional purchase of each feature, but all three categories are a little bit different. Automations are going to be features that are automating some sort of um, manual leave tracking work that you may be doing right now, such as, again, like I said, seniority based entitlement or blackout period. Whereas add-ons are going to be more things such as visibility within vacation tracker. So we're actually at this point starting to work on the documentation of making a block of visibility within vacation tracker, meaning that maybe managers can only see certain information, or apologize, approvers can only see certain information, or admins can see certain information. So there's a limited visibility in vacation tracker that we may introduce, and that would be something that would be part of what we'd be calling an add-on. As for the category integrations, we're going to be looking into integrating into payroll and HR systems. This is something that we've talked about for some time. It's definitely our goal. We know that most of the companies that use our system also have a payroll and HR system. And so, of course, that's been something that we wanted to do because we want to work with those systems as well. So that's something that we're also going to be looking into. Hence, why the change in the layout already. We're basically preparing for all of those upcoming changes that we have. That being said, we're going to be covering the automations that have already been released, and just quickly going, of course, over how all of them work, and of course, we're going to be able to go through any improvements that are upcoming for the release automations as well. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and then you guys are able to let me know if you're able to see it.
Feel free to send a thumbs up when you do. I'll be doing a physical one.
Yes, please.
I see it.
You could go. All right. Thank
Perfect.
you, everyone. All right, wonderful. So I love those emojis. Okay.
Oh, they're so cute.
So we're in the dashboard here. As you can see, on the left-hand side, like I said, the new edition automations. I'm the admin. Of course, I'm able to see and purchase, but also this is a demo account. So of course, I have all the automations already. The difference that you will probably see on the automations page when you go to create an automation, if you don't have any, when you click on any of the automations, you will have a little purchase button that you would have to click on in order to be able to purchase that automation, and then of course use it after that. We're going to go through the 2, 3 that are already available: blackout period, seniority entitlement, entitlement by role. Let's just start off with the first, the blackout period. This is an automation that is available for both core and the complete plan. So there's no limitation there. This is an automation that can be purchased by admins but can be set by both admins and approvers. So if approvers need to set a blackout period specifically for their department for whatever reason, for planning purposes, for a project that they're working on, they're able to create a blackout period just for their departments. When it comes down to the blackout period, to kind of explain that piece, it basically means you're blocking out a period of the calendar so that the users are not able to request leave during that time period. Maybe this is your busy season. Maybe it's some sort of audit period. We've heard those as well, and it's a time that it doesn't match well for the employees to request leave. Um, so you're able to create basically this type of block that's going to block them from requesting this leave. What does that mean? It means that when you set this, when you turn on this automation, if a user is trying to request a leave during that time period, they will get an auto reject response that's letting them know that they can't request. There's a few things here that I would like to note. First of all, of course, the name of the automation, you can maybe put in busy period or auditing or whatever whatever may be happening within the company that's causing the block of the vacation days to be used, or the leave days to be used. You can choose if you're going to be applying it to all users. If you choose no, then you can, of course, filter which users you're actually going to be applying this to. This is, again, quite important for the approvers as well. And of course, we also have the leave types. So one thing to note about the leave types is that you may want to allow some leave types to be sent out. For example, although you may not want to allow paid time off to be requested, or maybe working remotely, there are a few things that you may have to or want to let your employees go for, including maybe jury duty or sick leave, to ensure that they're able to request those leaves. That being said, I do want to note admins are able to add leave for the users during this time period and kind of override the rule by going on their profile pages. So this is something that you can do if it comes up. You're selecting a period of time for the blog, and you're able to, of course, select the dates. I'm going to select a few of those days here, and it's asking me if it's going to reoccur annually, which in a lot of cases with blackout periods we see that happening. So that's something that we can also set as well. At the bottom there, you're able to see how many users will be affected by this automation. So it's giving you a nice little summary to explain to you how many users, which leave types, and between which dates they're not going to be able to request leave. And of course, we have the templated auto reject response that we've created. You can rename this, or you can use the one that we have. This is completely up to you. And so then you can set those dates and click on create. Once you've done this, of course, all of the users that are being affected when they request a leave, they're going to be blocked for the time being. Um, and I think that we have a little bit of time because we're only going through about 2-3 automations today. I think I can just quickly send out a request if I'm not selecting a day I've already selected before. And so I'm receiving the pop-up here, letting me know that I'm not able to request that leave, right? But that being said, of course, the admin can again add it for me if it's some sort of case that that doesn't fit in through rules that are already created. So that's the blackout period. Quite quite self-explanatory. It's been a feature that was requested quite a bit, and I mean, to be honest, even we in Vacation Tracker have a period of time. Probably a lot of you who use this already know that it's usually the November to to February period, and you can probably hear me always mentioning that. So we do have a period of time as well when it becomes very busy. I think it happens in a lot of companies, no matter the size or the industry. So it's a quite popular feature. The next piece, seniority based entitlement. So this feature also significantly highly requested, and also a feature that we were really happy to introduce because we were seeing a lot of companies struggle with the manual work behind this. So seniority-based entitlement, available for both core and complete plans, can only be purchased, of course, by admins and can only be set by admins. The reason why is because this affects quotas. And so we decided not to allow approvers to have the permission for something like this because it's going to be adding days to their existing quotas. That being said, when it comes down to the seniority-based entitlement, to clarify a little bit for people who may not know what it is, basically, um, you are able to automatically add the days onto the user's base quota depending on how long they've worked in the company. So, for example, some companies have a rule that after 1 year, after 2 years in the company, you get an additional day, and you get an additional day for every single year in the company that you've spent. And usually there's a maximum. Maybe you start off with 15 and there's a maximum of 25 that you get to. So you're able to set this rule. Now, before we, of course, had the automation, we noticed a lot of companies just manually working through this, and we can understand how much of an issue that can be, especially because a lot of the times seniority-based entitlement happens on employee start dates. So therefore, based on employee start dates, which means that it's based on their anniversary date. And so therefore, there will be a lot of admins having to go in and kind of keep track of the employee start dates to ensure that they're updating the quotas and adding on to the base quota. So quite a bit of work. With smaller teams, maybe not so much. With small teams, it's not maybe something that, but even in those cases, I mean, we have a lot of people who switched even with smaller teams, and I understand it's still a lot to kind of keep track of when you're keeping track, even if you're using, especially if you're using spreadsheets, it really can get messy. So that being said, we created this seniority entitlement. I'm going to mention a couple of improvements that we're going to be introducing because specifically for seniority entitlement, there's a few things that we want to that we're actually working on right now based on the feedback that we received from a lot of from a lot of you. So we really appreciate that. The seniority entitlement, you can name it as you'd like. It can be, um, you know. Um, anniversaries um, if it's based on the fact that the users are earning depending on how long they've worked in the company, and that's the only seniority based element that you have. You're able to choose if you're going to apply this to all users the same way as the blackout period. If you click no, we're going to allow for you to select the location that you're applying this to. So for the seniority based entitlement, this is something we actually talked about in December. We were working on the beta version of the feature, and I know there's some people who already provided us with this feedback, so we definitely have it in mind that you would need a bit more filters here besides location. So this is something that we do definitely have in the feedback. Right now, we're allowing solely location to be set, and for you to select the location you're affecting or to select all users across the board. Also, another thing that was very specific and that we talked about in December was that the leave type, you're only able to select one leave type per seniority-based entitlement. That being said, it's something that we're going to be improving as well based on the feedback, because a few companies came back to us to let us know that the seniority-based entitlement actually does affect multiple leave types, not just the one. And they will need to be able to set the automation for different leaf types as well. So this is something that we're definitely going to be improving on. When we're setting the seniority based entitlement feature, it's asking us, do we want to start applying seniority entitlement from? And this is currently grayed out. So the first version of SBE basically is stating that from the moment you turn on the feature itself, that's the moment that we're going to start giving the extra days to the users. What does that mean? It means that if within Vacation Tracker, you have employees who have already, who were already supposed to earn some days in the past, they've already, let's say, hit their second year anniversary a few months ago, but you're turning on the automation right now, it would not affect that user. That user wouldn't receive, wouldn't be receiving the days. From the moment that you turn on the automation. Only users whose anniversaries are upcoming from the moment that you turn on the automation, those will be the users that will be affected, as long as the rules that you create inside of the automation actually match. So if they're actually hitting their second year in the company and you have a rule that says they're going to earn 1 day for that second year. This is also something we're actually going to be working on as an improvement, and we're currently working on for a few different aspects of it. First of all, what we want to introduce is the ability to affect the past with this automation, so that the companies are able to choose to apply this automation even to the past. So you can say, let's say, for example, you're going to have everyone starting with a quota of 10, because that's really what they get hired with, and you put in all of their employee start dates because you've added all that information to Vacation Tracker. You will be able to turn on the automation and then click apply for the past, and the system would actually calculate how much they should have all received in the past and give them the correct amount up to this date, and then of course continue working that way for any upcoming anniversaries as well. So this is also something that we're going to be working on as an improvement. We also have this prorate section here that's asking, do you want to enable prorate? I always remember this section whenever I look at it. I always think about the fact that we introduced it because a lot of people gave us a lot of feedback. Luckily, during these calls, I think randomly during one of the office hours, I mentioned that we're going to be creating this kind of feature, and someone gave us the feedback during these calls. So I really appreciated that,
Remember
because
that.
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we did not think about that. And so it was really great that you guys basically let us know, so that we're able to ensure that the feature makes sense in all cases. So prorating, what does that mean? For a lot of companies, they like to prorate the amount that they're going to be giving to the users. So instead of the user receiving their extra day right on their anniversary, they receive a portion of that day, just like accruals work. So a portion of that day on their anniversary, and then they receive the rest on the actual accounting year reset that happens. Prorating is for the case of companies that are based on accounting year and fiscal year. That being said, for this section as well, talking about improvements, based again on feedback from the companies that are using the feature and wanting to use the feature, we're going to be introducing an option as well where you will be able to choose to give these types of days on the fiscal year rather than employee start dates. We've also received this feedback. So whether it's either the year before or the year after, but it has to be the fiscal year that's actually being affected. So that's something as an improvement that we're looking into as well, to introduce as well. As for the rule itself, uh, the section is probably quite self-explanatory, but of course I'm still going to go through it. We talked about the example of starting off with about, let's say, 10 days, and then of course having a day added for every year after my second year in the company. And that's something that we're able to easily set at the bottom here. So I'm able to add 1 day, and for all of the other years as well. And wherever I stop, that's going to be the maximum that, of course, the user is going to hit. Now, as I'm adding these days, of course, it's taking the rule that I have already entered and kind of putting in the information the way that it is. You can of course change this. It can be, and we've seen a lot of different cases. We've seen 5 days after 5 years in the company, 3 days after 7 years in the company. So you can definitely customize this as necessary. And at the bottom here, you're going to see a quick overview that lets you know what this is actually going to do. So it's first of all letting you know how the current automation works based on what you have set for the rule itself. And then it's letting you know how much it's actually going to total to. So it's letting you know 1 day is added for the 2 year mark, for the 3 year mark, for the 4 year mark, and so forth. And then it tells you it's totaling to have 5 days of extra leave. So this is going to go on top of the base quota that they already have, meaning that in this case, the user, if they started off with 10 days, they would have 15 days after 6 years in the company. And so this is again the basis of the seniority based entitlement. One thing that I do want to clarify as well, is when you are creating this automation, it's very specific because when we create the automation itself, you're not able to edit it. You are able to enter to review the information as an admin, of course, and that is basically it. If you want to make changes, you would have to delete this automation in order to apply a new one and make new rules. I also want to state that if you are making changes, let's say you're deleting an automation, creating a new one, please keep in mind that everything that happened with the first automation, any days that were given to the users with the first automation, will not be removed when you delete that automation because that has already happened. Those extra days have been given. It's same thing when turning off and on the automation. If you turn off the automation for that time period, anyone whose anniversaries fall while the automation is turned off, they're not going to have any days earned because the automation is off. Once the automation is back on, any upcoming anniversaries from that moment on, users will of course be earning the days. Okay. And I think that I just want to make sure, I think I went through all of the improvements that we talked about and the kind of important notes that I wanted to mention regarding this specific, because I think out of all the three automations we've introduced, first of all, seniority based, definitely the most used, but also maybe the most complex, and the one, of course, we had the quite a bit of feedback on for different customizations. Um, As for the following automation, we have the role-based entitlement. So that's our third available automation. And the same way that the seniority-based entitlement assigns quota, additional quota, the role-based entitlement does the same. Of course, it can only be activated by an admin because again, we're affecting quota, so approvers cannot turn on the automation or edit the automations. And this one is very specific. It's tied to our complete plan only because of the labels section of the complete plan. So basically, the role-based entitlement is tied to the labels, and we're mostly seeing companies use this in the scenario where the labels are also used for role purposes. So we're seeing some companies use the labels section to label specific roles such as manager, supervisor, and so forth, executive. And based on these roles, a lot of the times they get additional quota because of the role that they've received. And so this automation really is to basically give that additional quota the moment that you assign that label to the user, so that they're able to receive those additional days automatically. And there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Again, like I said, only part of the complete plan because the labels are only part of the complete plan. Also, the labels must be created before you go ahead and create the automation because you're going to be selecting from the labels that we have. And then, of course, you want to ensure that you are assigning those labels after you've created the automation. Now, when it comes down to this automation, of course, because we're saying that it could be, role based, we're going to go with naming it as is, and then we can go ahead and select the label. And of course, we can select the leaf type that we're going to be affecting. In this case, again, it's only one leaf type. There is going to be some sort of improvements we're going to be working on here as well when it comes down to selecting one leaf type, because at this moment right now, if you want to select multiple leaf types, you would have to create different automations for different leaf types. So this is an improvement as well that we're looking into. At the bottom, after the leave type section, you of course are able to put in how many additional days someone gets based on this role. So you can put in the additional days, and then again, we're talking about the, when is this rule applying? So same thing as the seniority-based entitlement. We're currently only doing this from this moment on, from the moment that you're turning on the automation. That's any new label is going to receive the additional quota from that moment on. It's not going to affect anyone who has already had the labels or the past and so forth. Again, something that we may improve on, but for the time being, this is how it works. And again, the reason why I talk about so much feedback is because if you do have any ideas or different ways that the system that you would like the automations to work, definitely let us know so that we're able to make those improvements as well. And so, of course, we can create this automation, and it's going to affect anyone who we assigned this role to, this label to. Now, for example, SB, I'm not really able to show you very easily during this call how it's going to work because it's automated based on a date. And we're not going to be here for multiple days on this call. But the entitlement by role, we can basically, that's something that, for example, we are able to show. I'm applying it to users with the label managers. So I think I can see if I have, if we can assign the label. And as you can see, my total quota has changed. So if I go here on the edit of the user's quota, I am able to now see that I have additional days based on the role that were given to me. And of course, as an admin, you're able to override this. The same way that you're able to override base leave quota, we're going to be allowing you to override the seniority entitlement and the role. One thing I really want to quickly mention, currently, if the event hasn't happened, so if I have seniority entitlement and I'm supposed to receive it, but the date hasn't happened yet and I still haven't received my days, you're not able to edit this field. It's grayed out, but this is an improvement we're working on. So we are going to be introducing an improvement where we will be letting you edit this even before the user receives their first set of seniority entitlement quota. The reason why I'm able to edit the role base is because I assigned that label to the user, and so it's already there. So that's one thing to just kind of keep in mind, something that we're going to be working on additionally again as an improvement. Okay. And then really quickly to note, these are of course the 3 automations that are already available. The few other ones that are going to be upcoming, of course, the probation period leave restriction. So we've talked about this before, basically something that a lot of companies have, basically a period of time that the users are not able to request a leave, usually 3 to 6 months from the moment of their employee start date. Team leave balancing, trying to ensure that a specific percentage of people are constantly available or are working, that only a smaller percentage of the team is away at once, and then leave duration a limit. Again, basically setting up, probably self-explanatory, but setting up a minimum or maximum number of days that the users are able to request a leave for. So maybe a maximum of 10 business days for PTO. Or a minimum of 2 days for personal days. So different rules that you're able to set within the automations. We of course have a few other things, like I mentioned, because of the change that we're making to the UI with the 3 different categories. We are having in mind a few other features that we're going to be introducing over time that we're definitely looking into. And anything that we've mentioned so far, if you have any more questions or any type of feedback regarding those features, or if you um, have some sort of ideas or customizations that you will need, definitely let us know so that we're able to take that into consideration for any of the upcoming features as well. And there's, of course, improvements for the existing ones. I do want to note this isn't part of the automations, but I just want to note really quickly. We're going to do a different episode for this because we're going to have a few cool features released, and so I would like to put that into one episode itself. But some of you may have already noticed that we introduced toil, time off in lieu, into the complete plan. You may have seen that in the either in our announcements and newsletters, of course, that our wonderful marketing team sends out, or if you were seeing that, I apologize, in the leave policies section of the settings. So time off in lieu, as you guys know, or comp time, or overtime worked, or the many names that it has, we decided to go with time off in lieu. It means that if a user is working overtime, they're able to apply to have those days added back to their quota. We'll talk, of course, more about that. That's very newly released. Another feature that we are currently testing that's going to be available very soon in the complete plan, substitute approvers, meaning that users will be able to set, approvers will be able to set who the substitute approver will be in their name when they're applying for a leave. So that's something that's coming up very soon. And of course, we're also working on the documentation and preparing for multi-level approval, something we want to introduce this year. We've talked about this as well, different levels of approval, something that's been highly requested. And finally, we've heard a lot of you request the changes in the working hours in a day. We know that some of you are working the 10-hour shift or the 8-hour shift or 6-hour shift. So I apologize, 10-hour shift or 6-hour shift. And our system is currently set at 8 hours. So this is also something that we want to introduce this year that we're going to begin working on. And we want to introduce this kind of customization of working hours for the company as well. We're just beginning to work on this. So if you are a team that's interested to provide information or feedback on that, definitely let us know by chat, by email here through the Q&A section, and our product manager will be more than happy to chat with you and get some more information. So when again, I'm talking about the working hours. So in case that you guys have different working hours than the 8-hour setup that we're currently supporting, definitely let us know. We already have a few companies that have let us know, and we've of course tagged their account and reached out. But anyone on the call, um, leave your email, send a message, reach out. And it'd be great to get a little bit of information on how that all of that works for you guys, so we can make sure that the customization makes sense. Okay. And I think that I have gone through everything.
That wraps it up. Well, you can take a couple sips of your tea. You've earned it. You've earned it. But yeah, I think we're gonna move over to the Q&A section now. I see it's a little quieter today. That just means, Kat, you did an amazing job, covered all bases. Very amazing. I'm gonna start off with the first question from Stephanie. She's asking, is there any way that admin and supervisors can get a notification to employee time off the day of or the day before it occurs? We are finding that once the vacation time arrives, we don't often remember the time off has been requested because it often has been a bit of a time between the request and the actual time off.
That makes sense. Understood. At this time, we don't have anything. I don't think, at least I'm trying to kind of go through the roadmap in my head. At this time, I don't think we have anything specifically like this. Um, Such as those types of reminders. I do have to ask, and kind of my kind of follow-up question probably would be, are the daily and weekly notifications, are they just not good enough in the context that it's being sent maybe to a channel or to a group, or maybe you guys don't have it turned on? Or are you guys looking to have it more specifically sent to their manager as a kind of a quick reminder, so that the manager doesn't have to look at the daily and weekly notifications? That would be probably my follow-up for this. Because in case that you don't have the notifications turned on, I would definitely advise that. I think that would be a great feature to help with this case. But if it's something that's specifically an add-on that you want on top of that, then definitely let us know, either in the Q&A section or in chat and email after the call. You can send additional feedback. That's perfectly okay, and then we can take it into consideration and see how we can introduce it as an improvement in the future if possible.
Correct, Stephanie. You know where to reach out. It's hello@vacationtracker.io, right, Kat?
Yeah, so hello at vacationtracker.io or our chat. Yeah.
Awesome. Moving on to Josh. He's asking, will there be a test function feature before enabling automations live?
So are you I'm gonna assume that you're referring to testing it out internally yourself before actually applying it to all the users. That's a really good point. Actually, we don't have this at the time. What I can advise is to possibly what you could do for the time being is possibly it would be a little bit of work, but maybe put yourself into and this is kind of a workaround that I'm kind of thinking as we're speaking, but possibly put yourself in a location where you're only going to affect that location that you belong to see how it works. Um, that could be kind of a quick workaround, but I think that this is a really good point, and I think that we can definitely bring this up with the team to see if there's a way to somehow test this uh, before pushing it out live. Um, Also, though, definitely let us know which specific feature you're thinking of. I'm assuming that you're probably referring to like seniority based entitlement or maybe something like that where you're not wanting to affect the quotas so quickly. But even that's going to be a little bit hard because the start dates. But yeah, I'm assuming that's probably the one you're referring to. But definitely let us know as well if that is the one, or are you looking into generally all automations to be tested before they're sent out live?
Awesome. Moving on. We have Dube or Dube, I'm not sure. Let me know if I am pronouncing that correctly. He's asking, does the seniority entitlement not get added to the base leave quota and then accrue according to the accrual rules? I do not understand your reference to the prorated.
So the seniority entitlement does get added to the base quota, and then from that moment on, if you have accrual turned on, it's going to be accrued every year, just like everything else is. So if I have 15 days that instead of the 10, I'm going to be accruing, as you probably even saw, I'm going to be accruing a different amount, of course, than anyone who has 10 days. And you probably saw that when I was showing that with the role-based entitlement, all of a sudden, instead of earning I had it accrued, I think 1.6 or 1.7. As soon as the 5 days were added, I'm now accruing a different amount, and of course, I'm accruing a different total. So for sure, that piece is going to work that way. The prorating is something different. It's referred to companies who, when they turn on seniority-based entitlement, they want the users to only, let's say it's an accounting year basis, and that the accounting year is January 1st. My employee start date is in July, so halfway throughout the year, and I'm supposed to earn 10 days. I'm very lucky on my anniversary. Actually, I'm supposed to earn 10 days depending on how much I worked in the company. The companies that want to prorate will turn on the prorate feature, and then I'm going to earn 5 days on my anniversary date, and I'm going to earn the remaining 5 days when January 1st hits, so that once I'm in the new fiscal year, I'm having the full additional 10 days. So that's only specifically again for the companies that need prorating because that's internally how they work. Otherwise, if you turn prorating off, I'm going to earn all of those 10 days right on my employee start date. So right in July, I'm going to get the full 10 days instead of 5 and then 5 or the prorated amount. The accrual doesn't really have anything to do with that because no matter how many days I get, that's going to be the accrual is going to be looking at the total of for that year and going to be, of course, accruing accordingly to that total amount. So the accrual and the prorate are completely two different things in this case.
Perfect. I hope that clears it up. Let us know if you have any more questions, Dube. I'll move on to the next question. It's from Jennifer. She's asking, so if you make an error with the automation, needed to delete it, then you would have to make manual corrections. I think.
For the time, yes. For the time, yes. And the reason we kind of went back and forth on this because the situation is if you go and edit an automation that you have, you're not able to affect the past at this time, the way that the future works right now, right? So even if you go and edit, you still can't affect the past. If some sort of events happened they have already happened, and therefore even if you went and edited the automation, you're only editing from that moment on to upcoming events. So you would still have to manually make the change according to how the system currently works. Um, with the new changes that we're making to the fact that you're going to be able to affect the past, maybe this is something we're going to also take into consideration now. Maybe the editing is going to be allowed because you're going to be able to affect the past as well and make certain changes, but that's also going to be very tricky because all admins within the vacation tracker can make this change. So that means that an admin that's maybe new can just kind of come in and overwrite things that have already happened. It's going to be one of those um, situations where we're either going to have to put a lot of warnings to ensure that they're aware of the changes, or to maybe not allow it, depending on just the risk. Let's put it that way, because that's usually how we look at these things and these automations.
Awesome. Moving on. The next question is from Sanan. She says, I have a question related to multi-level approval of leaves. We are really in need of it. When can we expect to have this automation integrated?
So we're definitely already working on the documentation for it. This is something that we want to introduce. It's just a question of when it's currently we're working on a few large features, and we don't have an exact date, um, as um, as any software company. But that being said, it's definitely something that's in the works. What I think would be a good idea, Sinan, if no one has reached out to you, if we didn't maybe tag your account, maybe we did, and but definitely leave an email address if you want to give any feedback to how the feature would work best for you guys, because I know for a fact the product manager has been speaking to some companies already for this feature and receiving feedback. So if you guys are already in quite a need, I think it would be great to directly speak with the product manager, give some feedback, make sure that the way that we're making it in the future is going to work well for you guys. And then, of course, if and there's any beta testing, we'll be able to include you guys, let you know when it's available, so that maybe you can get it a little bit earlier and test it out for your team. The idea really is to, of course, introduce it this year. It's just a question of when. Is it going to be quarter two, quarter three? That's a different story.
So moving on, we have Sylvia. I'm not sure again. I apologize if I'm butchering your name. Her question is: we have an employee working 90%, not working on Wednesday afternoons. How can we set half working days?
So this is a really good example, and thank you for that, because I think it's an important one. Um, we when we plan to introduce the kind of setting of the out, first of all, at this moment right now, you can't set that. So you're able to set, if they're not working full days, you can't set half at this time. Um, but I know for a fact that we're trying to also um, take a look into that, take a look at that as well, because of the fact that we're looking into allowing companies to set how many hours they're actually working in a working day. I believe that along with that, we're thinking of introducing some sort of customization per user as well, which could mean that you will then be able to set how many hours they're working for that day. In your guys' case, you'll be able to set 4 hours and so forth. So this is definitely something we'll take into consideration. And again, if this is something that is important for you guys, send us a message or leave your email. Actually, we have the email address. As long as it's the one that you registered with, we can reach out and get more feedback regarding the specific case, and we can let you know if this is something that we're going to be able to cover with the feature that I mentioned that we want to introduce, because it sounds kind of similar, and I think it's realistic, but I wouldn't talk before I at least see some sort of documentation internally and confirm.
Okay. So yeah, moving on. Carla is asking: is there time off in lieu available at an additional cost, or will it be available with the core plan?
So time off in lieu is there's certain features in the complete plan that we cannot per se they're tied to the complete plan. Automations are the only ones that and add-ons integrations, that section that we've talked about are going to be the only ones that we really kind of allow to transfer into and to be used in multiple plans. The time off in lieu at this time is locked into the complete plan, just like accruals as well, and of course a few other features. It's available in complete. So for the time being, we're not planning to add it to the core plan.
Perfect. Moving on, we have Frank, and Frank says for future release, admins should be able to create their own auto reject response so that can be saved and then auto populated for all blackout periods that are created. So just a comment there.
That's actually that's a good idea. Thanks, Frank. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that we can definitely take into consideration. Thanks, Frank.
Perfect. Moving on, Donna says would love to provide some feedback for customization of days/hours with people who work different days and different hours. So
For sure. And so definitely we'll reach out. We'll reach out and the product manager will probably actually reach out to try and maybe even book a call so that you guys can actually discuss this in a little bit more detail, because again we're definitely now collecting the feedback for that feature and trying to make sure that we're going to create the best kind of feature that's gonna satisfy different teams and different needs.
perfect. Moving on, we have Sanan, and she says, can we have a date for this in this year? I think it's in.
Yeah, it's regarding the multi. Let me tell you, first of all, if I gave you a date, I have a feeling that my dev team would have my head on a plate. So I I am not able to give dates for features that we're not ready to release yet. So no, unfortunately we don't have a date in this year. All jokes aside, because this is something that we are working on. We want to introduce it this year, but things change depending on the features that we're releasing. We're working on a lot of things right now. I do have to say, kudos to our dev team and to our product manager. They're really working hard quite a bit. We've released already quite a bit of features, over the last few months, and we're working on a lot of things. We have a lot of things in the pipeline. Certain things are changing depending on the needs. As you guys already know, this is something that we mentioned, I think, in calls, but generally in support, you'll hear us say this even when we speak. Depending on the amount of requests that are coming in, depending on different kind of legal necessities, that is the priority that we take when it comes down to creating these features. So we definitely want to introduce everything as soon as possible. We'd love to, but we are a bit limited. We have to kind of go bit by bit to our abilities, of course. But again, we'll definitely let you know. We can let you know if we have a beta testing time, because that means you're going to receive the feature a little bit before everyone else, the kind of the testing version, and we can let you know from there, and that's an option as well. And of course, I mean, definitely take a look at our change logs and our newsletters. We always give you guys a heads up when something is released or coming up. So and especially during these office hours, we talk quite a bit during the office hours. I think that's really the best place. You're always going to hear me talk about something that I know is in the works and that I may ask feedback for. Whether it's even if I'm talking about a different topic, I'll probably bring something like that up.
Perfect. Moving on, we have another question from Martha. She says, do we know the date when the substitute approval feature will be released?
Give you a month. I can give you a date. I could probably, the funny thing is for this one I actually may be able to give you a date because it's in testing mode, but I still don't like doing that because I
Yeah.
just I'm not gonna stick to that exact date, but I can tell you in the next couple of weeks within March we're planning to release it. So you can expect hopefully the feature within the month of March.
Sure.
And again, we'll notify via newsletter and via the announcements in the dashboard.
Perfect. Moving on, Jennifer is asking, when will we be able to customize the wording of the weekly notifications?
It is something that we received feedback for companies that want this. This is not the only customization when it comes up to certain wording that companies want. So we are collecting this, but I do have to say that currently it's not something that's going to be upcoming in the next few months. It's not let's say in the immediate roadmap and features that we're working on. It's something that we are considering, not just for the notifications, but like I said, there's other requests that we have for certain customization of vacation tracker that we want to introduce. We may be introducing all of that together. We may find a way to kind of put it all together, but it's not something that we're currently working on. I can't even say time soon because maybe it's something that we introduce sooner rather than later. But at this moment, we don't really have it in the works.
Perfect. Moving on, Erica. Erica says our lunch hour is fluid, so if someone uses PTO at 3 p.m. but wants to combine lunch with that leave for the day, how do we reflect 2 hours PTO that actually shows on the calendar leave at 2 p.m. so out of office can begin? That was a mouthful.
No, I understand. I do want to just note and I'm so sorry, Erica. Just the question before. I think the add-on as a reminder is what we are looking for. That's Stephanie's response, probably, to what I asked
Yeah.
earlier. Okay, okay. Um, that's fine. I mean, that as feedback, we'll definitely take that into consideration, and that's regarding the me asking about weekly and daily notifications if they have that on, if they're looking to have a reminder as an extra. I think that that's something that that makes sense for management as well, and we can definitely see if we can turn on maybe some sort of reminders on the request and the user's profile. I don't know, something like that, but um, definitely good feedback. And I'm so sorry, Erica's question. Lunch hour is fluid. So if someone uses PTO at 3 p.m., we want to combine lunch with that leave for the day. How to reflect 2 hours of PTO, but would actually show on the calendar leave at 2 p.m. so out of office can begin. Erica, the only question I have here is the lunch hour, want to combine lunch. So if they're leaving for the day and they've taken that leave at the same time as the lunch hour, are they then I will just have some questions regarding this. So maybe you can either email us or send us a message separately from the call so I can ask you a follow-up to clarify that, because I'm trying to understand, are they having a lunch hour and then they're requesting then all of a sudden they request a leave from that moment, so they're actually off for 5 hours but you're counting it as four? Also, is it important then for you to have a note that they're actually going to be away from an hour earlier? And I would also have a question about when these kind of cases happen. Are they quite often that the same day they'll decide to just take the rest of the day off from the lunch moment? So just so I can have an understanding of what kind of cases um, this would cover. That so I have that's what so I have more questions than I could probably provide answers for right now.
Moving on, we have Shannon. She says, we've acquired a company who those employees have more rollover days than the legacy employees. Can we customize a bucket for the acquired employees' rollover days that will roll their balance year over year? So it would only be for acquired employees.
My question here, Shannon, is are you able, hi Shannon, are you able to I can't. I'm sorry, although I know a lot of the companies I cannot remember everyone's setup. But so my question would basically be: are you able to set them somehow in an independent location by any chance? If you don't have a lot of locations, if you maybe only have one, are they able to be their own location? Again, I'd have more questions for this, Shannon. It would be great if you can reach out to us because via email, because I would also ask, are you going to keep this for them? Are they going to keep that same kind of rollover, or at one point are they going to match what you have? So is the acquired team going to match what the legacy team has? If they don't match, then they'd have to have a different policy. I get that. Currently, the only way that's possible would be per location. Do we have a plan for allowing policy changes per user for brought forward? Not at this time. Is it something that we can think about for sure? But again, like I said, I'd have probably more questions there for you just to understand the situation. And if you're able to put them in a different location, that would be my suggestion for a workaround so that they have their own different policy than the legacy employees.
I think she added a little follow up. She said this they will match, but until then they have to decline. Everyone is remote, so maybe that helps a little. But yeah, I definitely think a conversation is necessary there.
Yeah, definitely send us a message. I mean, if they're gonna match at one point and if it's kind of soon, then a workaround may not be such a bad idea. You know, a quick, short workaround of another location for a specific time period, maybe this year until next year is fine, and then you move them. I mean, that's something that I can see, working out well. But send us an email and let's see how we can help if we can.
Perfect. I see a question from Walker about when the 12 feature is going live, but he says all good, found it, needed to refresh the page. So that problem is solved. Let us know if you need anything else, Walker. I'm going to move on to the next question by Donna. She says, if someone is working 6 hours per day, will we be able to set those hours? And then will they be able to request either a full or half day based on a 6 hour workday?
That's the feature that I was referring to. So, Donna, definitely, if you're okay, our product manager can reach out because we're collecting feedback from specifically teams like yours regarding these kind of different working hours. For and especially let us know, is it employee specific, is it location specific, departments? All of this great feedback will help us out quite a bit for that feature, because that's the idea. Yes, if then they have those hours, half day will be 3 instead of 4 that it is currently.
Perfect. Moving on, we have Sylvia again. Apologies if I mispronounced that. She says, if we have employees working part-time for a few months of the year and full-time for a different part-time for the rest of the year, how can we set this in the system so the holiday entitlement is calculated accordingly?
So for the time being, you would have to manually. So you can definitely, first of all, I'm counting the part time as specific days. So let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, rather than a few hours a day. Because right now, like I said, you can't really choose the hours in vacation tracker, as you guys probably already know. It's something we, of course, we've talked about, want to work on, but you can't choose the hours. So if we're talking about part time, I'm counting on specific days in the year. For the time being, you can definitely customize this on the user's profile page. Under the working days section, you're able to put in which days they actually work, and then they would of course be affected by those days that they work when they're requesting leave. The system is only going to be looking at their working days and so forth. um, as for the fact that there's a change, you would of course have to come in halfway through the year and make the change to a different schedule. For that time being, we're not able to really set kind of like a year schedule for the users. Is it something we're thinking about and we're talking about for sure? We're just trying to find a good balance between still staying focused on leave tracking and not so much going into scheduling, because that's a really important piece. We don't want to. We're not a scheduling system, but we want to also introduce that flexibility, and we understand the need for it, of course, especially with again with with correct leave tracking.
Perfect. Josh says, thank you for the information today. You are very welcome, Josh. I think that wraps up all the questions we had, Kat. I don't see any more.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We were actually quite efficient today. Also,
Mhm.
you guys, before you go in the poll section, we did open up just I think one more question, but I think we've already had some answers. So thank you so much for that. Again, that feedback really helps. Thank you guys for joining. We really appreciate the fact that we have so much interest in these office hours. We introduced them originally, kind of as an idea to help out. Didn't realize that it was going to be so helpful. So we're really happy that this works out for you guys as well, and of course for us as well, because we get all the feedback that we need um, to make the system more customizable for you guys and a better fit for you guys. So the next office hours episode will be coming up in the next month or so. We will have the expert hours as mentioned. Expect the invite coming up soon, and we'll talk more, of course. About the upcoming features as well, probably in the next office hours. Maybe we're going to cover those features I talked about. Maybe we cover a different topic until everything is available. So again, thank you guys so much. We'll leave the call on for a minute or two, as we always do, for any maybe additional questions or polls that you want to go through. And that's basically it.
As always, always a pleasure being here. See you. Bye.
Bye.